Yes, you guys, come on. Yo, you guys, I'm sorry, but it's too late for me to be like shouting this loud at night. You know, my girl's trying to sleep right now. I'm not trying to wake her up, so that's the best reaction you're gonna get from me. But best believe I'm extremely happy, extremely ecstatic. I needed to see my team lift the Super Cup tonight. Now, I know for some people, maybe people aren't fans of the club, just watching it on TV, might be thinking this is like a glorified friendly in a sense, and of course you are correct. But for me, with all the recent heartbreak we've had, trying to lift this trophy, you know, so many defeats, so many nearly moments, it felt like now was the time to, you know, right those wrongs tonight. And it took us a penalty shootout. It took Thomas Tuchel bringing on Kepa as well, a sub that, I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to work, and I was like, what the hell is happening right now? But, you know, as was quickly proven, I will never ever doubt Thomas Tuchel again. You know, like when I look at Tuchel now, I think it finally sunk into me afterwards actually that, you know, the feeling I get from him is the same feeling I had from Jose Moreno when he was first our manager in his like first spell here. You know, he was doing so many like outrageous things, and you know, it was so ahead of the game, so advanced with his thinking that sometimes it's like you have to catch up. And with Thomas Tuchel, we definitely have one of the most progressive, you know, world-class manager, you guys, absolutely world-class. And this is why we can compete and win trophies like this tonight, you guys. So in today's video, of course, I'm going to break down the game, go through some of the key moments, talk about players stepping up and performing as well, you guys. So I hope you do enjoy. If you're happy to see this team lift the Super Cup, if you're happy that Lukaku is being announced tomorrow as well, you guys, please, you must smash the hell out of this like button. I need to be ambitious, and I'm going to go for 4K likes. 4K likes tonight, you guys. So let's get straight into things. Now, I feel like we started really well in this game against Villarreal. I saw the lineup Tuchel selected, and I would not be surprised if we see a similar lineup in our first game against Crystal Palace. I just thought today that our game plan was clear. We were going to use the pace of Timo Werner in behind. He was going to stretch him. We were going to have players like Kai Havertz and Ziyech operating in the half spaces, occupying those wide midfield players of Villarreal, you know, freeing up the flanks for our wing backs or for Werner to make runs into, and we were going to play direct and look to play balls in behind. And honestly, it worked like a treat time and time again. Games like this, you kind of wish you had Lukaku playing for you up front. That's going to bring such a ridiculous new dimension to this team, you guys. But, you know, of course, our finishing woes, they return. Typical. That's why we've gone to the market now to rectify that. But, you know, at times we played some excellent football. We created opportunities to seal it. And it was no surprise that eventually the first goal comes from Ziyech. Now, I'll get on Ziyech ever so shortly, you guys. My God. But Ziyech today deservedly got the goal. As I said, he's been our best player throughout this preseason. He's looked sharp. He's been hungry, so damn hungry. He's one of the first players to come back to link up the preseason, to do extra sessions, to fully get back on it, because the guy has suffered so much with injuries and a lack of fitness throughout last season. Stop using that against him. We didn't see the real Ziyech. What we've been seeing glimpses of now in pre-season, this is the player we can have on a more consistent basis. And, you know, throughout the games today, some excellent passes, through balls between the lines, the danger. I think there was like 4 key passes, 1 big chance created as well. It was no surprise that he was one to affect the game and get on the score sheet. You know, just even mentioning that goal again, you guys, it was a nice pass from Marcos Alonso, who had a very good game throughout this entire 120 minutes. Even the penalty shootout to you guys. He finds Kai Havertz, makes a run in behind to place a cutback. Timo Werner pulls the defender out towards him, freeing up that space for Ziyech. And, you know, that's a type of, you know, structural goal that we need to start scoring a lot more of. And with Lukaku now here, I hope we score more often from opportunities like this. Of course, in the first half, you know, we could have dominated even further. Ziyech puts in a world-class delivery inside the box to find Kurt Zuma, and you're thinking, if this is Kurt Zuma from last season, at the start of last season, that ball goes in the back of the net, we're 2-0 up, and the game's done. However, things didn't quite go to plan in the first half. One of the most shocking turn of events was Ziyech dislocating his elbow. It seemed like, you know, when you watch the replays, it seemed so innocuous, it seemed like absolutely nothing, and I was so frustrated for him. He looks in really big pain as well. I hope that things have cooled down a lot, and let's hope that he won't be out for too long, you guys. another setback, but the guy's hungry, he's a fighter, and he'll come back, and let's hope his form comes back instantly too. But I have to say that ton of events that led to Ziyech's injury is what really gets my nerves. That bold referee, man. That bold referee, I swear to God. Just the decision to not give that to cover when he was foul from behind. I don't understand it. What, because he touched the ball too early? Was a handball? That's a reactionary thing to do. Players do that all the time. Why do you decide to be the first referee to try and punish something like that? And then the whole thing with Ziyech comes from that. You know, we got a glimpse of this beforehand though with Rudiger. I don't know, actually, I was going to say maybe Rudiger, you know, it was a bit hard done by, he wins the ball, but to be fair, I felt like it was overly excessive, and I'm sure some of you guys have played the game as well too. You know when you want to go in a bit harder than you have to, so hey, maybe that's why he was on alert. I'm not too sure, you guys. But regardless, you know, before the first half ends, I felt like we got some glimpses of the threat that was to come from Villarreal, especially down that right hand side where they were trying to take advantage of the lack of experience between Hudson-Odoi and Trevor Chalobah. I'll touch upon those guys in a second, but now we get to the second half and things look quite positive. Kai Havertz, straight from the start, has a nice opportunity from outside the box, bringing that threat and thinking, yeah, we're seeing the intensity back in the team. But I think one thing that really started to show a lot more in that second half was fatigue. We have to remember pre-season is still ongoing. These guys aren't fully 100% sharp at this point in time. They're going to need more time to be able to play to this intensity more consistently. And I do feel like Villarreal took advantage of that. We were seeing more sloppy mistakes at times, and we were seeing them looking more adventurous, pushing more men forwards. And you know, a guy that I had to watch out for in Moreno really demonstrated for me why he's one of the most underrated forwards in Europe. And you know, I'm not going to be too harsh on the team for the mistakes, because I do think that once we're really in the thick of the season, we won't see them at all. I think we'll be fine. So I'm not holding this against the players. I mean, I can discuss it and talk about it, but I'm not holding it against them. For example, Edouard Mendy, two uncharacteristic mistakes, a pull back pass to Rudiger, and then after that he slips from a goal kick, and Villarreal could have capitalized from that moment. And you know, instantly it brought like a fear for me, because it's like, okay, you know, we can't get too cocky now. We have to concentrate, work hard if we want to get the result and win this trophy. Villarreal were posing threats. We saw them earlier hitting the underside of the crossbar from Moreno, and you know, it felt like it was no surprise that eventually they found themselves in the back of the net. You know, I've got like a differing opinion on this. Of course, one of the two key players that fought for the goal was Kovacic and Jorginho, and you know, I say this all the time, they are great counter-pressing midfield players. You know, if the ball's in front of them, they know when to time their runs, close, press, you know, they understand that. But defending is also more than that. And a lot of times you have to be wary of runs being made off you as well, which is something that Kova's shown throughout actually the entire Euros and throughout his entire Chelsea career, that that's not his strongest point. And with Jorginho, I'm not going to hold him to the same level of scrutiny, because he only just came on, and it does take a little bit of time to fully get into the intensity of the game. That's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can let him off the hook a little bit with that one. But anyway though, you guys, it did feel like we were going to find ourselves playing extra time, and there was no surprise that eventually did come. We had like a little bit of threat near the end, but nothing too concrete. And to be fair, I felt like we were starting to run out of some ideas. Not surprised that when extra time did come, we didn't create as many opportunities. We were seeing, I think, more desperation in our play. Marcos Alonso in particular, he was constantly like scuttling around the box, having like a free roll. He wasn't like playing as a wing back, he was like playing up front at times, and you know, cutting in from the right hand side and putting in crosses inside the box. So you know, is this an example of maybe how Tuchel looks to use Alonso? You know, he's got excellent shooting technique, and I think maybe that's why you could consider him in more advanced areas at times. I never thought I'd be saying this myself, but the shooting technique's too good, you guys. I think one player in particular too in extra time that really just highlighted to me that, okay, you know, these guys are really unfit, was Kai Havertz. It felt like when Werner went off, Kai had to take up the same runs that Werner was making beforehand, and I'm sorry, I prefer Havertz ball to feet. I felt like it's a bit of a waste having him just constantly making runs behind, and he doesn't get to influence the game as much. I mean, you know, Kai is a player that can also create assists as well as scoring, and I'd like to see him maybe more involved in both parts of the game. But You know, of course, before extra time ends and penalties does come, we saw one final substitution made, and that was Thomas Tuchel bringing on Kepa. Now, of course, I should never have doubted him. I take the L myself. I literally hung my head in shame and I apologized to Tuchel on the TV. Yeah, I said it, you guys. But, you know, bringing on Kepa was an absolute masterstroke. And the penalty shot doesn't start out great. Havertz with some pretty... Yeah, I thought his technique was quite poor, but he was very tired at the time, you guys. You're thinking, okay, Villarreal, they were quite bad from penalties against Man United. They're one of the teams you want to play against in something like this because you can get yourself back in the lead, and it was no surprise that eventually did come. I felt like we took some very good penalties, two in particular that really stood out. Of course, Jorginho, his classic penalty, the little hop, excellent, pulled that off superbly. And Rudiger as well, I felt like his penalty really surprised everyone. He fooled us all. He made that type of run up where you thought he was going to blast it in the back of the net, but instead he just hit it low and hard on that left hand side. And yeah, you know, we win it in the end. I think Kepa's plan was to literally keep diving down that left hand side because he's thinking eventually someone's going to take a shot there, and that's the best way to hedge my bets. And it worked out for us. He became the hero. A great moment for Kepa, and that's it, you guys. We lifted the Super Cup tonight. I'm going to speak about this game in more detail tomorrow. Players that really stood out for me as well, Trevor Chalobah. I mean, he showed his youthful inexperience at times, but for me, we have to look at the intangibles, and that's stuff like the character. You know, the character to come back and play your game and be confident. You know, other players in that moment, you know, you live by your mistakes and you can't get your head back in the game, but Chalobah came in clutch time and time again with some incredible defensive tackles and interceptions, and I felt like he was able to do that because actually his defensive positioning improved, and it made sense because I can understand youthful inexperience, a bit of nerves as well, but that completely left him, and he demonstrated, wow, this guy is an incredibly handy player. He can play in midfield, so when he steps up from the right hand side in the back three, he looks comfortable playing further forwards. Again, another excellent example of the talent our academy consistently produces. Doesn't get enough credit, but honestly, we are producing Premier League class players just like that. For me, squad positions and stuff have to be catered for by academy guys like this because you're saving a ton of money. But, you know, other things we saw too in this game, Callum Hudson-Odoi, I felt like he will get lots of criticism, but I'm sorry, he's not a wing back. Don't lie to yourself and tell yourself that he is a wingback because Tuchel's using him there. No, he's not. It's only for tactical reasons because Tuchel wants to pace him behind and Reece James ain't fully fit. It limits him too much. I'm sorry, this does not suit him. At times it was a little bit painful when he wasn't in the right position, which I wouldn't expect him to be able to do without having someone like an Azpilicueta behind him, instructing him and telling him where to be. I think definitely Tuchel has to give him more fair opportunities playing further forward, especially when someone like Christian Pulisic, who I feel hasn't really shown the same form for Thomas Tuchel that he did for Frank Lampard. And some of my theories behind that could be, okay, is it that Pulisic does better receiving further wides compared to being more central? Because one thing I don't see as much of is his runs and surges through defenses. I think it's time to share those minutes out. I think Pulisic could play wing back at times. Let Hudson-Odoi demonstrate what he can do, because I feel like we're really wasting the guy. And, you know, maybe one more fun observation that I did see to you guys was our defensive line and positioning at times wasn't always as tight. It was a combination of individual mistakes and also that lack of communication. I feel like maybe there were bigger gaps that we normally don't tend to see. And when you have someone like Thiago Silva at the back who is instructing players where to be, move here, come a bit deeper, follow this guy behind you, it makes a massive difference. But regardless, you guys, these are things we can examine in further detail tomorrow night. Tonight, we focus on celebrating because we are undoubtedly European champions of absolutely everything. When the Club World Cup comes in December, we can have the titles of being champions of the entire world. And honestly, you guys, I'm just excited to see us. And to be honest, you guys, I'm just excited to see us having the chance to win trophies that I saw us lose before. So, yes, first trophy under the belt, you guys. Many more to come this season. On that note, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.